I've died a few times already on hardcore since season 1 has started, and even though it's hyper annoying that I've died, it's definitely been my fault, and there's been some things I could have done to make sure I either didn't die or tools I could have used to make these situations not happen. So without further ado, let's talk about 5 different things I could have done to not die on hardcore. Let's get the obvious one out of the way that's most relevant for the last death. If you use your unstoppable ability while you're not CC'd, that means when you do become CC'd, you will not have it available. So for instance, if you look at my Shadow Step, the reason I'm using Shadow Step is as Unstoppable on it. So if I get CC'd, I can use Shadow Step to Shadow Step to an enemy, and it will remove my Unstoppable. So number 1 is very easily going to be, just don't use your moves at the wrong time. Number 2 is going to be using the correct aspects. If you see here, this is the looting aspect, which when I become injured while crowd controlled grants you unstoppable for 4 seconds. This has a 40-second cooldown. So even if I had used my unstoppable, which I did in the previous clip, this aspect right here would have saved me if I had not been lazy and taken the time to imprint this onto one of my pieces of gear. You can see the allowed pieces of gear, pretty significant. So I could have put this on boots, chest plate, helmet, literally anything other than having worthless uniques equipped, and this would have saved my life in the previous clip. Now, another thing I could have done is at the potion crafter here, the alchemist, there is actually a potion that only hardcore can craft called the Elixir of Death Evasion. And the cool thing about this is you can have this one running at any time you're running another potion. So if you're using, like a shadow resist or some kind of potion, one of these other ones in order to get the experience, you can still run this. And the costs for this are very low. You can see it doesn't take very many common resources in order to do this. So you can create a whole bunch of these things. You can see I can make 21 of them, and they last for 30 minutes each. What this allows you to do is have prevent death and immunity for 2 seconds. Well, 2 seconds will give you enough time to use a scroll of escape, and you can put the scroll of escape right here on your actual mouse wheel once you've acquired one. Now, of course, I just died and had to remake another character, so I don't have another scroll of escape in which I can show you, but you can go to customize here. You can actually take items, including those death elixirs, etc., and you can drag those elixirs and put them directly onto your mouse wheel as well. So you can see what will happen is if you have the looting aspect, you get CC'd, you get dropped down to 0 HP, it makes you unstoppable, breaks that crowd control effect, the cheat death stops you from dying, you have 2 seconds immunity, gives you enough time to use the scroll of escape and get out of there. There's also an elixir called the Curative Elixir, which you can spam these basically. And this is something that I noticed from my comments. People are saying you could have used this potion or at least crafted some of these potions. So what it will allow you to do is become unstoppable, and you can bind it to like your mouse wheel or a hotkey. And then if you get stuck and you don't have unstoppable or you don't have the aspect, you can actually use this elixir to break any of your CC, because unstoppable not only grants you immunity CC, but it removes the CC that is currently affecting you. So this is one panic such button that you can use in elixir form to remove crowd control. I think another one is simply paying more attention to the actual game and respecting the game. I basically spend a lot of time reading chat and not really paying too much attention. So if I had looked, noticed, and decided to actually respect a Shivering Elite, I might have lived a little bit longer instead of mouth breathing and just spamming basic attacks. So this is kind of an obvious one, but like if you're going to play hardcore, don't be distracted, actually pay attention to what you're doing and don't make stupid mistakes. But especially pay attention to like cold enchant, poison enchant, and death explosion type of effects. I also wasn't upgrading my gear at all at that time because I was stuck in the mindset of, oh, well, I'm in World Tier 3, I'm going to get to World Tier 4, and then I'll get Ancestral gear, let me just farm through until we get to World Tier 4. I should have respected the now and actually spent time going through and upgrading all my gear to make sure that it was good enough for now and actually would make the leveling faster while I was doing it. Them running the defensive aspects, for instance, like Disobedience, where I can gain additional armor, that stacking code damage wouldn't have done as much damage, as well as making sure my basic skills grant damage reduction. Both of these would have been pretty good to use because I was actually using my basic attack right before I died, so I would have had additional damage reduction at that time. So now we've lost 3 necromancers at the moment. One time played 6 hours, one time played 54 minutes, and one time played 34 hours, which is a very long time for only level 55 because we are kind of doing a troll no core minion build and just messing around with it. But these characters got deleted out of existence because of the mistakes I've made. So now I have to go back and refarm all this. And while at the moment I made a rogue, so I was like, well, let me try something a little different and faster. I actually just, to be honest, really like the hardcore necromancer. So I think I'm going to make yet another, and this is going to be my 4th and final hardcore necromancer. If I fuck it up and die again, well, I think I'm done with the hardcore for season 1 until season 2, where it'll be easy enough with the resistances fixed. Maybe I can stop making mistakes, but I'm going to go take another shot at it. And I want to thank everyone for showing up. We broke 101,000 followers now on Twitch. And if you're interested in watching this hardcore journey live, my 4th attempt, if you want to watch somebody pound their head against this wall trying to beat it, you can find that in the description as well as the pinned comment. I am Darth Microtransaction on Twitch. I also want to do a shout out for my buddy Gigs. This is his YouTube channel, and we actually did a Hot Ones episode. We went and we got all of the Hot Ones sauce, and we did a full hour interview of us trying all this different sauce. And let me tell you, it gets harder and harder and harder, and you can see my eyes start to water more and more. So this is pretty fun. I'll put a link down to that if you want to support my friend's channel as well. But that's some ways I could have not lost my hardcore character. So I'm going to go with try number 4 now. Love you all. Hope you have a wonderful day.